Chris Jericho is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I used to memorize his promos almost word by word. Lying, cheating, pathetic little
worm of a human being.
Oh, and an underrated gem. Sorry for insulting your family, punk. I'll never say anything about your father on this show again. I'm giving you my word on that. However...
Your sister?
Imagine this. It's Royal Rumble, boys. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, priñas. No? Not feeling it? Okay, then break the walls down. Chris Jericho makes his entrance and we see his good old friend Kevin Owens in shock. Sounds good to me. And there is a possibility of Chris Jericho returning to WWE. I know this might create some controversy. Cody, Punk, Black, Starks, Miro, and now Chris Jericho leaving AEW? I mean, one of AEW's OGs will put the company on the map? We're gonna treat this with respect, people. Come over here, AEW fan. It's okay. It's okay. We're both wrestling fans, and I love you for it. It's not that big of a deal. You don't want him in AEW anyway, and I'm waiting for him with arms wide open. We're both wrestling fans. Okay, sounds like a joke, but in all seriousness, AEW fans, WWE fans, all love. Also, Extreme Premium Live Event is coming to WWE and it could be better than expected. The draft is already kinda happening. The dumbass fans are making fun of Triple H's physique. He's fat now! He doesn't look like he did in 2002! And did John Cena hate his heel run? Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys doing today? Like, smash, and subscribe, all that stuff. Now let's talk about Chris Jericho. Let me tell you how all of this happened. I barely use social media. Randomly, I opened Instagram and I see Chris Jericho started posting a lot of WWE moments. I was like, that's weird. Didn't think much of it. You know, he always posts stuff about his career, but then I see reports of Chris Jericho actually liking this post that said Chris Jericho's AEW deal ends December 2025. He's open to a WWE return depending on the situation, and the dude actually liked the post. Now, what that mean, Grayton? Well, that's exactly what it means. He's like, yes. Yes, that sounds like an idea. Dave Meltzer just reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that Chris Jericho's AEW contract is up later this year. There's already a lot of WWE talk around him, with some even speculating about a Royal Rumble return, which would be absolutely unbelievable. Just like I told you, this Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens rivalry was absolutely amazing. Not even rivalry, the friendship. I think that's what was so special about it. Imagine that moment, Royal Rumble, we see Kevin Owens' reaction. Maybe they work together, maybe they fight, you know, at the end of the day they did break up.
How come my name's on this?
Depends on whether Kevin Owens is a heel and Chris Jericho is a heel or a babyface. I think that would be absolutely unbelievable. I do see it as a possibility of Chris Jericho leaving AEW. I mean, look, at the end of the day, he's not as valuable to AEW as he was before. Obviously, his latest run wasn't that special, and it all comes down to money. Maybe Tony Khan is not prepared to pay the same amount of millions as he did back in 2019, which is honestly understandable from every perspective. I don't see a problem. Jericho is not getting paid the same amount of money. He's getting paid more in WWE. He leaving. Tony Khan is not prepared to pay. He no pay. But his contributions are absolutely huge, people. Let me give you an example. When AEW launched, I was watching that live stream. I didn't take this company seriously. I mean, people, how is there going to be another major company? We know it's not gonna happen. WCW died, TNA failed, and then I see Chris Jericho and I'm like, oh, so this shit's serious. Let me remind you, Chris Jericho at the time was one of the biggest stars in professional wrestling, one of the most over stars. I mean, let me remind you of the list. Everybody keeps talking about the Elite, Cody, and people forget how much Chris Jericho helped AEW to, you know, be this big thing that it is today. There was a reason he was a champion too. Now I know AEW fans will rage. It's a betrayal! But like I told you, I think it's just business. I don't think it's that serious. I don't think it's that personal. Maybe feelings will get hurt. Probably rightfully so for Chris Jericho. But at the end of the day, it's business. You don't need to be this company suck up. I mean, you choose whatever you want to watch, but this, you know, company lawyer, it's stupid. It's dumb. They don't care about you. None of them. It makes sense, AEW is so much different than it was before. And you might say, well, the great one, that is hypocritical. People hated Jericho and now all of a sudden they want him in WWE. You don't understand. A change of scenery, different character. In general, AEW fans look at wrestlers very differently. They didn't even like Cody, who's the face of the WWE now. And in general, to majority of WWE fans, Chris Jericho was never a part of any AEW. What's AEW? Royal Rumble return would be absolutely perfect. He already did that like in 2013, I believe, and we got this moment with Ziggler. You could replicate that with Kevin Owens. I would be excited. I mean, Chris Jericho was one of my favorite WWE wrestlers. At one point in 2012, he was literally my guy. My favorite. I was probably the only wrestling fan who was actually rooting for Chris Jericho against Punk back then. That sucked, by the way. Being a Chris Jericho fan when he was in his I'm putting over talent persona. Oh my god. Then, you know, he reinvented himself. The list of Jericho is just generational. Don't let his latest work blind you from the fact that he's literally one of the all-time greats of professional wrestling. I wonder what kind of gimmick he would have in the WWE. They could easily do something nostalgic. He could bring Painmaker. I'm sure not that many people want the learning tree. I don't know about you guys. I would be down with anything. I'm just gonna say this. Judas is great. It's a great song. I want break the walls down. I want to break those goddamn walls, people. This is just fantasy booking, but if we could get the 2008-10 Chris Jericho, the one that was feuding with HBK, something serious, vile, evil. Oh boy. You know, look, people are going to say, well, he's not that great in the ring anymore. Makes sense. He's an older guy. He doesn't have to wrestle on every Raw, SmackDown. Honestly, people, I'm in a very small minority. I don't really give that much of a shit. As long as you can do the basics, the greatest hits, that's all I need. Also, I'm very excited about him coming back to WWE video games. Like a child.
I want him in my video game.
But people, let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about that? Speaking of physique, so Jericho lost a lot of weight. He looks great. What's your secret? A little less of the bubbly? I don't know. You probably saw pictures of Triple H having some time with his family. Beautiful. Taking some time off from work, you know, doing what matters. Wrong! He doesn't look the same way he did! He doesn't look the same way he did before he literally died! Lazy H! Sometimes I have to remind myself, people, that it's not that big of a deal. The world is full of idiot, stupid people. They were just never given that much of a platform to express themselves before. We have a lot of dumbasses and everybody has a voice. I wish social media would make you actually use your own picture. No BS. Because now people are spewing this shit using pictures of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. I'm sure I no longer use social media. I'm sure 99.9% don't look anything near Triple H. Okay, maybe it's fair to criticize a professional wrestler who's out of shape, who's not taking it too seriously, because at the end of the day, a wrestler is getting paid to look a certain way. It's understandable, you know, he doesn't have to change anything, but he kinda has to be open to criticism. That is understand. Triple H is not a wrestler anymore. Most importantly, the man almost died. He almost literally died. How much of a idiot you gotta be, people. Holy shit. Brings me back to a time when Hulk Hogan unfortunately passed away, and I was like, I know everything that happened. I respect people who never forgave him and didn't say anything about it. That's completely fine. Obviously, he did a lot of bad shit. But at the same time, if you can't give someone 5 minutes of respect by just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. I didn't mind people not caring about it, but I didn't understand the celebration. Maybe I'm the dig here. People, do you remember how good that Extreme Rules match between Lesnar and Cena was? Well, according to WrestleVotes, in September, WWE are bringing an ECW pay-per-view called WrestlePalooza. That is a funny name if you ask me. That is a very hilarious name if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, but, you know, that's kind of weird. Also, they're going to counter AEW's pay-per-view. Let's talk about that. That is certainly silly. Again, I hate it. I hate that WWE even feels the need Why do you feel the need? AEW could be the greatest company in the world, you just can't beat that name recognition. WWE is global, you can't beat that shit. WWE could give you 2018 type of content, it would still be the biggest wrestling company in the world. It's impossible, that's just reality. So why are you even bothering? But this makes people believe we might get Cena versus Lesnar. It makes me excited because, well, it's an ECW premium live event, right? Cena Lesnar, extreme shit, blood, yes please. Maybe WWE looked back and said, Extreme Rules match, that was pretty fun, let's do something realistic again. We saw very different types of John Cena matches when he came back. We saw an Extreme Rules match, we saw tag team matches, we saw bad matches, WrestleMania with Travis Scott, oh my god. So maybe now it's time for something bloody. Also, according to Bodyslam.net, there is some disagreement within WWE over who should win the John Cena versus Brock Lesnar match, and honestly I kinda get that. It's really hard to decide. On one hand, you want John Cena to, well, win against Lesnar in his final Brock Lesnar versus John Cena match, one of his final matches ever, but at the same time, Lesnar is probably the one who's staying in the WWE. Cena is not staying, he's retiring. So it's a really tough decision, and I kinda get where WWE are coming from. So we keep asking for the draft. It doesn't make any goddamn sense anymore, people, because people from Raw are on SmackDown, people from SmackDown are on Raw. It's just chaos. None of it makes any sense. So people, finally something is happening, some kind of a trade. When Sami Zayn got traded to SmackDown, I was like, well, that must mean that LA Knight is on Raw, and finally he is officially a member of the Raw roster. Gives people that 1% that he might win the championship, but at the same time, is the draft even coming? Do we need the draft? I don't even know at this point. Let me know in the comments below. Finally, let's talk about John Cena and his controversial heel run that had some ups and definitely had a lot of downs. John Cena talked about his first promo and said, I failed. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You can learn from failure, right? I went up there and bombed. Shit happens. Oh, don't you be so hard on yourself, John Cena. I think the promo was great. It's just that the whole idea of it was not. I think the delivery was great. Some moments were absolutely amazing. The problem was, he said, you booed me. What, like 10 years ago? Nobody boos you. Why all of a sudden now you said, well, that actually hurt my feelings? He refused to talk about The Rock's involvement. Obviously, I think I want to blame The Rock, really. You know, WWE changed all these plans without actually even thinking about what's coming next. We got some cool stuff, that Orton rivalry, John Cena Punk promo where he cut the pipe bomb. That is the type of John Cena actually I wanted to see. When he cut that pipe bomb on Punk. Evil. Just absolutely evil. None of this, you guys hurt me. You know, I don't think the promo necessarily, the first promo was bad. I remember actually really enjoying it, but you also realize, well, it just doesn't make that much sense. And it's not John Cena's fault, it's the way they went about the whole character. But people, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, your boy The Great One. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.